If you do freelance work on Upwork, you know that the first few minutes after a job is posted is critical for your chances of actually getting that job. In this video, we're going to build an n8n automation that takes in job alerts from Upwork and uses AI to score them against your skill set. And if it meets a certain threshold that you can choose, you'll get a Slack notification alerting you, hey, there's a great job that really matches what you want to do that you should apply for right now. I use this for my own Upwork work, and it has worked tremendously well at allowing me to quickly apply to the best possible jobs for me. My name is James Francis. I own an AI automation agency called PaperJam. I've built hundreds of automations for clients just like this, and we are going to build this workflow live together starting now. But before we jump in, it's important to know that you're going to need an Upwork Freelancer Plus subscription. This is $20 a month at the time of recording, and that gets you these job alert emails, which are real-time notifications of jobs posted that match your skill set. They look something like this, where you have a job alert, it's got the title, description, some metadata, and a link to view the job. They're very helpful, except you get flooded with them. These are my job alert notifications, and you can see all of these are just from 1 or 2 days. It takes a long time to go through this and understand, is this a high quality job posting that matches my skill set? So you can see I don't even go through them because it takes too much time and I was missing out on all sorts of opportunities. So you can customize these emails, or you can filter them based on job type, hourly or fixed, and the payment offered by the client. But I've already done that, and I'm still getting dozens and dozens and dozens of these emails. So I needed to build a filter, some sort of smart filter, where I could act quickly on the diamonds in the rough here. So let's start building without further ado. We're going to go to n8n. We're going to create a new workflow, and this workflow is going to be started with a Gmail trigger. The way that the Gmail trigger, it says on message received in n8n, but that's not quite true. The way that the Gmail trigger works is that it checks every so often your Gmail account for either all emails or a filter that you're going to specify, which we are. Be careful, because every time it checks, it uses a workflow execution. If you're self-hosting n8n, you have unlimited executions. You don't need to worry as much about this. If you're paying for n8n Cloud, you only get a certain number of monthly workflow executions. So you might want to reduce the frequency with which you poll your Gmail account. So obviously, the more often you poll, the faster you're going to be able to reply and apply to Upwork jobs, but the more workflow executions that you'll use. So first, you need to connect your Gmail account with a credential. It's just a matter of signing in with Google and approving the permissions that it requests. And we are going to poll Gmail every, let's say, 5 minutes, which is a nice balance between frequency and it's not checking too often, so it's not going to use too many executions. But I am self-hosting n8n again, so I'm not too worried about it. We are not going to simplify the results because this actually strips out the message body, which is what we're going to need to analyze each message. And we don't want to look for all emails in my Gmail account. We want to have a filter, and that filter is going to be a search. And this is the same format as if you were using the Gmail search inbox, or the search input. And so if we look at our Upwork notifications, they are always from do not reply at upwork.com, and they always start with new job : So I think if we were to create a search filter for those two criteria, we would not get any false positives, and we would catch all the new job alerts. So I copied and pasted this from earlier so that you don't have to watch me kind of type this out. The search filter is from parentheses do not reply at upwork.com and subject in parentheses new job : So let's fetch a test event here to make sure that it's pulling in the right emails. And we have, let's see, scroll down to text as HTML, new job alert. This looks like a job match for you. Looks like a correct Upwork job alert email. So I'm going to pin this so we don't ping the Gmail API every time we test the workflow. And the next step is optional, but I'm going to mark this email as read in my Gmail account. So that's a very simple pre-built n8n node. Mark a message as read, and we're just going to pull in the message ID from the Gmail trigger, and that should take care of it. We'll wait for it to execute before moving on. Okay. And so now we have the message that we want to work with in our workflow. And so before we want to send it to an LLM for information extraction, we want to convert it to Markdown, which is a format that LLMs are better able to analyze. We could pass the raw HTML for sure, especially in a case this simple, but it's just generally good practice to make sure that whenever possible, the text that you pass to an LLM is in Markdown format. And it's so easy because n8n has a pre-built Markdown node that only does one thing, which is convert data back and forth between Markdown and HTML. So the HTML is going to come from the Gmail trigger, and it will be the text as HTML key. And we will call the output key Markdown. And we'll run this step to make sure it's working. All right, we have Markdown in the output here. And now we are ready to pass this text to an LLM for information extraction. So the first thing we're going to do is pull out all of the components of this email so that we can A, score it more easily at a later step, and B, optionally filter our alerts based on any of these. For example, if I only wanted to send alerts for jobs where the payment was verified, I can do that, or only alerts for jobs in my country. Whatever I wanted to do, if we can pull out structured data from this email, we can much more easily filter on it later. So I'm going to add an information extractor AI node, which just forces a structured output. And we're going to set up a few things. We're going to do the prompt, of course. We're going to specify the output schema, and we're going to add a model. So let's start with the prompt, and I have a very basic prompt ready to go here. Below is a job alert email received from Upwork. Please extract the requested information in valid JSON format. I'll make this expression because I'm going to dynamically pull in the email's subject from the Gmail trigger. There is a subject key. Here it is. And the email body, which of course is the Markdown message body from the previous node, Markdown, Markdown. So if we open up the preview window, this looks pretty good to me for the prompt we want to send to the LLM. Now we want to specify the output shape. What type of object do we want the LLM to return? And we're going to use JSON schema. If you're not familiar with JSON schema and how to write JSON schema, that's okay. You can use ChatGPT to help create this for you. If you can just describe the properties that you want in the object or the array that's returned, what data types there are, what fields are required, things like that, and it will generate one for you. I'm going to paste the schema in, which I created before this video, and it's going to look a little intimidating, but don't worry. A, I use ChatGPT to help me make it, and B, I will walk through every piece of it. So what we are specifying here is that we want an object return with no properties other than the properties that we have explicitly defined in the properties key down below. And these are the required fields, so none of them can be null. They all have to be omitted. I actually don't think the tags are always included, and I'm not sure that I think actually all of these are always included. So all of these fields are required. If fields are not included here, then they're optional. So we actually define the shape of the object in the properties key. Job name, which is a string. Job type is either hourly or fixed. The price is a string. Sometimes it's a fixed number, like $2,000. Sometimes it's a range with a minimum and a maximum hourly rate. So we could do some fancy number parsing here if we wanted to, but I'm not going to filter on this later, so I think it's fine to just keep it as a string. the job detail URL. So we have a link to actually go apply to this job. The description snippet. Notice that it's not the full description. It's just a few characters of it before it links out to the full job post. So the description is often truncated. And so I added a little bit of extra context for the model. So there's typically a more link, and it's the description to the job before that more link, the country, payment verified, true or false, client rating, amount spent, tags. So each job alert often includes tags that are associated with this job. This is very important for the scoring because these tags are often match up or don't with what you have put in your profile as skills that you have or want to work on. So we're extracting the tags, and I found that it often included the URL along with the tag, which we don't care about. So just include the tag name was the description that I gave for this piece of the schema, post that, and then the experience level, entry, intermediate, and expert. We'll attach a model. You don't need a powerful model for this. You can just use a cheap one. 4.1 mini is fine. You might be able to get away with nano, although 4.1 mini is so affordable at this scale. So I think that's totally fine. And let's execute it to see what type of output we get here. Okay, job name, type, price, the URL, description snippet. This all looks pretty good. It's pulled out the tag successfully, so that looks good. Let's pin this so we don't run this on every test execution. And now we're ready to actually score this opportunity. I want to know on a scale of 1 to 10, how good of a match is this job based on my profile? And we're going to use another information extractor node. You could combine them into one node that is meant to extract the job detail and score it. But I just find that, especially with LLM API pricing going down and down and down, use specific nodes for specific functions. The more you ask a model to do, the less reliable the results will be. So I like to have one that just extracts the job data and one that just scores the job based on the profile that I provide. So we're going to add another information extractor node, and then I will paste in the prompt that I'm using, and I'll walk through it. So here's a prompt. It's long, it's detailed. Guess what? I didn't write it. I went to my favorite prompt writing tool, which is promptcowboy.ai, and I typed in my lazy prompt. And this is an incredibly useful tool that takes a prompt like this, where I just wrote a very basic couple sentences, an example output from the previous node, and it crafted a great prompt for me that makes me look really good in front of clients or colleagues or whatever. So never write an important prompt without going to Prompt Cowboy or some other prompt writer. Even just ChatGPT will make your prompts much better. And the gist of this prompt is, let's go back to it, is that we're identifying the best job opportunities based on the input, and take my profile into account when making this score, and then provide some reasoning based on specific reasoning explaining why the score was assigned. So if you want, excuse me, some more context as to why the score is what it is, you'll have that in the output. So under this my profile tag, this is where I wrote my profile. I was a little lazy here too. The more effort you put into your profile, your experience, the tools you're familiar with, your preferences on the jobs that you would prefer to work on, right? The more you put into this, the better the output. And then we actually share the job detail in the job tag down below. So the output looks something like this. And this model will have everything it needs to provide an accurate score for this job. One thing I'll note at this stage is we don't have the full job post available, right? We only have the description snippet, as I mentioned before. The full job posting is available. If you click more, you'll see that it's much longer typically than what's included in that email. It is against Upwork's term of service to scrape, or it's questionable, right, to scrape a job post even for your own internal use. So I won't be doing it in this email. They've also made it quite tricky to scrape the full job description. So if you want to look into how you might want to do that, that's up to you. But what I've found is actually just having this snippet of the description combined with the title of the job, the metadata, and the tags critically, the score quality is still quite high in my experience. So it keeps it a lot simpler to not try to get around Upwork scrape blockers and do it kind of a much simpler way, and you still get the results that we're after with this workflow. So again, we want to specify the schema that we want this node to spit out. This one is a lot simpler than the job data extractor. I'll paste it in here. It's an object with two required properties: the score, which is an integer from 1 to 10, of course, and reasoning, which is like, hey, tell me why you picked that score, what pieces of the job did or did not match your profile and your preferences. And then we're going to add a model. We can use the same model, 4.1 mini, although you could experiment, but this is a fairly simple task for any good model to do very quickly and easily. So we will run this and see what we get. So we get a score of 8. So you'll need to kind of make sure that this kind of passes the sniff test for you. This looks pretty good for me, right? Like an AI agent, those are terms that are mentioned in my profile. The tags, n8n, AI, automation, right? Those really match with my profile quite well. So on a very quick glance, 8 looks like it's directionally correct. So I will stick with that for now without any further tweaking. Pin the data, and now we are ready to determine if we want to send a notification to your Slack channel to say, hey, we've got a great job, you got to apply right now. So we're going to use the set fields node to gather the results of both of our information extractors. And actually, why don't we rename these so that it's much simpler? So this is a job data extractor, and this is a opportunity scorer. And let's use the edit fields nodes to gather, no, not edit image, edit fields, to gather the output from both of those nodes. So let's say we want the score field to be an object with the output from the scorer, and we want the job field to be an object with the output from the job data extractor. And this should be good. So now we are left with an item with a score field and then a job field. We have all our information in one item. Great. And now comes the real kind of brain of the notification, the notification logic, which is the filter. We'll execute previous nodes so that we can pull them in. So I know one thing for sure, and that's that I only want to send notifications to my Slack channel where the score is a 7 or higher. Now you can play around with that threshold to see where it should be for you, but I think that's a reasonable place to start. So I want the score to be greater than or equal to 7. And the other condition that I want is I want the client's payment method to be verified. And that's coming from the job data, payment verified. I want payment verified, which is a Boolean to be true. Now you can add as many filters as you want here. If you want only clients in your country or a certain country or tags or whatever you'd like, you can set up. But I think this is a pretty good default to start with. I'll execute it to make sure that this is kept. It was. And finally, we are ready to send everything that gets through this filter to a Slack channel as a notification. So we're going to do that with the Slack node, and we're going to post a message, send a message. And you're going to need to set up credentials. In order to do that, you need to create a Slack app. And it's pretty easy. You just go to api.slack.com, your apps, create new app, create it from scratch, make sure it has the scopes chat write public and channels read so that you can list all of your channels and write messages to public channels that it's not been added to. Those are the two that you need. You're going to need to install the app to your workspace, and then you're going to need to grab the OAuth token that you get in your app's config, which is in the UI here, and use that to create an n8n Slack API credential. Once you have done that, you'll have your credentials set up here in this node. We're going to send a message to a channel. I'm going to just select my testing channel. And then you can either send a simple message or you can use Slack's blocks, which allows you to have a much richer UI. For the purposes of this demo, a simple message is fine. We can use Markdown if we want. And to save you some time watching me type this all out, I'm going to copy and paste here and open this up so you can see what I'm doing. So I've just created more of a structured Slack post, new Upwork job opportunity with the name, description, all of the metadata down here with some conditional logic on payment verification, and then the AI evaluation results. So you have all that context, and then a link to apply and view and apply to this job. Pretty simple. Obviously, you can customize this however you'd like. And I'm going to execute this step just to make sure that it sends to the correct data to the correct channel. And go over to Slack. And here we go. So we have a new Upwork job opportunity. And this all looks pretty good to me. Now, it was appended with this automate this n8n workflow at the end of this, which we can just get rid of back in n8n. The include link to workflow option is enabled by default, so we can disable this, and that won't be included in any future tasks. So now we're good to go. Again, the filter is up to you on what you want to let through, but the quality of this workflow for you will really depend on the effort you put into writing your profile in the opportunity scorer. That's the key to this whole thing. But once it's set up and good to go, again, I use this, and I am often one of the first applicants to the best job postings for me, and my success rate skyrocketed when I started using this workflow. Feel free to implement it and let me know if you have any feedback, and best of luck building this and implementing it and with your Upwork applications. Thank you for watching, and feel free to leave any questions or feedback in the comments.